first mini episode where we'll be talking about financial aid, scholarships, loan, and debt, and our experience with those things and how we go about it. So
yeah, I'm experienced with college tuition. So yeah, I guess I can start first. Hi, it's your girl Divine. So yeah, for like I've been able to like see like college tuition in different perspective, if that makes sense. Like for me, my experience with college tuition is that I pay out of pocket, It's very expensive, and I realized if you're paying out of pocket, right, it makes sense for you to start with a 2-year college, because 2-year college, they give you like the same subjects in a 4-year college, depending on the university and depending on the associates, or should I say the connection, or the what do you call it? So like for instance, Montgomery College has this kind of connection with UMD that they have all their courses. The courses they take in Montgomery College can be transferred to UMD. So 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, the kind of like association or the kind of connection they have decided to like have. If that makes sense, you also have to like check research, right?
Like a partnership?
Exactly, that's the word, partnership, right? So it's like your first 2 years in college, this amount of subjects or the courses that you take depending on your major, yeah, it's the same thing that you have in the 4-year university, and the tuition will be like less, like by so much, if that makes sense. Like let me say a course is like $500 for like 3 credits in college, right? In the university, it's gonna be like 4,500. Yeah. Like that's a huge difference for that same course and the same credit, if that makes sense, right? And if you're paying out of pocket, you want to go for the cheaper one, and that's why most people go to community college first of all, if that makes sense. It also has to like depend on your status too. Are you an in-state? Are you an out-state? Are you
immigrant?
Yeah, are you an immigrant? Are you an international student? Like all these things play factors to your tuition too.
Also military.
Exactly, the military too. It's kind of like so annoying. So it's like the people that have the chance of getting less tuitions are people that are in-state, and I guess have the military to back them up, or they have financial aid. That's a resource that they have, like financial aid. And then even when it comes down to scholarships, it's like the scholarships vary, right? So it's like you can meet certain requirements, but because of one thing, you don't make it, if that makes sense. Like there were some scholarships I could have applied for, but because I was an international student, I wasn't able to gain it, if that makes sense. I met the requirement. I met the major. I was an electrical engineering major. They wanted someone in STEM. My GPA was good enough for it. I had a lot of things that I passed for, but because I wasn't a resident, like a green card holder or American citizenship, I couldn't apply for that scholarship, know? And then the ones that don't include you being a citizenship, the chances are very, very low, if that makes sense. And some of them, they want you to write essays, and it's just like, oh my God, that is not for me. Like, don't do this to me. So sometimes scholarship is like not the way. And then there's some scholarships that they require like so much, right? Because I have like a 3-point plus GPA. Some of them want you to be like a 3.9 above, like 9.2, 9.5. I have a friend that's a 4.0. And because she had a 5.0, she was able to like help herself financially with a scholarship when she was in Montgomery College. So she was able to use the scholarship to pay for half of her classes and like combine it with out of pocket. That's like her as an international student, right? And then there are some people that are able to just use financial aid throughout. Those people are lucky because it's like, and then again, financial aid has its requirements. Like you can't like take less than 12 credits. Your major, I don't think it requires a major, but it's more about like your credits. And if you want to take it in the summer, and it's like if financial aid doesn't pay for it, then you have to pay out of pocket, And like depending on type of way to pay your tuition, each of them like comes in risk, if that makes sense, because like financial aid, it's like if you're not able to fulfill some requirements, you won't get it. And sometimes depending on the school you go to, financial aid can come to you very, very slow, or it can be very, very quick. And you guys have like experience with financial aid?
I have lots of experience, but I actually want to talk more about the international. I do have 2 questions for you. Like, how is like the process being an international student and applying for scholarships? Like, what's that process like? And do you believe there are enough scholarships for international students?
So, the process for international people to like apply to scholarships.
Because being part of a military program,
Mm-hmm.
the process is so draining and it's so long.
Mhm.
Like you really have to apply for the military program and all that to get a waiver for your tuition and all that. Months wait, like maybe a year maybe before you even go to school. Like it's a very long process. Like what is the process like for applying for international scholarships?
As I said, it depends on the type of scholarship though.
Mhm.
So if you're looking at scholarships that don't have requirement of you being what do you call it? Of you being a resident or
A citizen.
a citizen, right? Because I didn't feel like I didn't fulfill most of the scholarships, so I really
Yeah.
did not look more into it.
Mhm.
But I realized that sometimes you could get school scholarship, like let me say MCCs that you've been having like a 4.0 for like over 2 semesters, and they can just like grant you, and they're like, okay, I heard some schools does this. I'm not too sure about MC.
Mhm.
Then they can grant you like the semester off of the tuition for your next class, but I guess maybe like 12 credits. I don't need to do for that.
Mhm.
And then there are some scholarships because some people they give personal scholarships, like they are rich people and they want to help students out, and it's like you have to fulfill some requirements. Maybe for me to give you the scholarship, you have to like take certain classes, and maybe those classes don't necessarily partake to your major, but they're like hard courses, like maybe an honors program,
Mhm.
or you have to come for like this lecture and that lecture, or you have to like have this certain GPA, you have to write this amount of essays, I would say it's as long as a year, but there are sometimes it's like within that 6 months range, or should I say 3 to 6
Yeah.
months, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. It's not as long as the military,
Mhm.
but like,
It all depends.
yeah, it all depends, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might not even hear back. And some scholarships, it also has to do with connections too, not gonna lie. Because let me say
Yeah.
the professor sees that you're such a wonderful student, she's a 4.0, some professors recommend the scholarships to you, and they kind of like help you push forward that scholarship.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But if you're doing it on your own, like maybe say you found it online or you found it from a friend, not having like that professionalism there to help you with the scholarship, you might not even like hear back after,
Yeah.
And then,
There's qualifications to it.
exactly.
Same thing for
And
military as well.
some scholarships they differ. Like some high scholarships, I guess they can like pay your tuition throughout your whole universities, and some tuitions they just like help you pay a certain amount. Some people is a once in a lifetime scholarship. So
Yeah.
figuring out what type of scholarship you can get and what you can do, because then again scholarship is not guaranteed, but it's something you have to do. My roommate, when she was in MC, she used to apply for scholarship almost every single week, bro. Like
That
she
was
finds on the
amazing, yeah.
internet, right? And sometimes she gets it, but it can't pay the whole thing, but it can only pay like part of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then another thing with financial aid is that one thing I realized, like when you're looking at your requirements, right? Sometimes they only tend to look at your requirement as you based as an American. So that same roommate that I know that she was applying for law scholarship was because her dad like makes money and like sends to the family back in Africa, right? But the financial aid people were just looking at the fact that he's only here with one of his daughter. So saying that he can provide her tuition. But it's like she can't because she has like up to 8 siblings back in Africa. And the father is like providing for them, but they're like, oh well, they're not in America, so that doesn't count. And it's like, she couldn't receive financial aid because of that. That was in MC, but I think she's receiving it now in UMD because UMD has a higher tuition, and that's like higher bills, if that makes sense. And like sometimes people don't know the kind of resources they have, and depending on the school you go to, like in Montgomery College, right? As an international student, I was able to receive in-state tuition because I fulfilled the requirement of paying out of state for 1 year, and I was able to like go to the department. It's illegal stuff, but it seems like those pieces of information like that, they are not like given out there because some international students come here and think like the only thing they can do is scholarship and paying out of pocket. if that makes sense, and out of state. But they don't realize that some colleges, they're nice enough to like give you like that in-state tuition. Like Montgomery College gave me like in-state tuition after I fulfilled the requirement, right? And then I heard that some private schools, they give financial aid to their international students. You know, not public schools, but private schools. And then if you're planning to be a graduate in a university as an international student, there's a chance you can get in-state. But as an undergrad, you cannot, you know. There's like pieces of information that can help you financially as an international student, but sometimes it's not given out there because there's this stereotype that, oh, if you're an international student, you're automatically rich. And it's like, oh, you don't need those pieces of information. And people don't tend to see that. It's just kind of annoying. Like, given that there's like always restriction when it comes to like financial help towards international students. So what about you guys, like, as Americans, like, because I heard there's, like, different things, like the military, there's loans. Taking loans to as an international student is not hard, because, like, the money is, like, oh, expensive, I'm like, I guess so. But, yeah.
Like I was saying, there's, like, many different scholarships depending on even your status. So even if you're a first-generation college student, there's many scholarships out there for you. Like that means like if you're the first in your family to go to college, you can get a scholarship from that. You can also get a scholarship if you're a certain race. I know that's kind of racist a bit, but there's different scholarships depending on your race and your status as well. And also I used to work as a peer navigator at MC, so I was helping students apply for financial aid. And so the main one you probably have heard of is FAFSA, but there's also this one I didn't know about until like 2 years after. It's called MASFA. I don't know if you guys know about it, but that's for, you don't know about it? Yeah, it's for like, it's another version of FAFSA, but for people who don't have documentation. Like when you were saying you don't have a green card or you don't have like Social Security, like that type of thing. So MASFA, you can like apply for MASFA if you don't have those things, and you get like the same benefits as well as FAFSA. So like those types of things, there's many different. There's also scholarships depending on where you live. I think they're called senatorial scholarships or like delegate scholarships. Like you can apply for those. You have to contact your senator and send like they'll send you the application, you fill it out, and then you just mail it to your senator and they will give you like the scholarship. It's that easy. Like I did it, it was 2 months ago and it actually worked. Like you just need to keep finding different things, like, cause they're out there. There's a lot of resources. So yeah.
The problem with the resources is that they're not let known or they're not being aware of. And then that's how the whole low-key scamming be happening, because they want you to kind of pay out of pocket. They want you to get loans, the interest, and not necessarily having like those resources put out there. It's like you have to dig for them, which is kind of like so annoying, bro. Yeah.
And we can definitely, like, for our listeners, we can definitely, and our viewers, drop some like sites for you guys to look at. Scholarships, because I know I have a few sites I used to look at before this military program, and there's actually some really fun scholarships you can apply for. Like there's this one website to go on, it's called Unigo, and you can literally, like, the scholarship process is like you type an essay, and it's not even like a long essay, like maybe 500 words, and it can simply be about like what's your favorite ice cream and why. Like they have so many like entertaining essay topics, and it's really fun, honestly. It makes, you know, applying for scholarships and doing essays joyful. So yeah, there's so many like sites you guys can use to apply to scholarships, and we wouldn't mind dropping those links for you guys who are just going to college or, you know, still in college and you're just struggling trying to look for like some extra money to pull out. And so yeah, I know in my experience, before all that, that's exactly what I did. Before I did the military, and there are qualifications for the military. I am doing the military program as a dependent because my father and mother were both in the military, and so since that's the case, I do get benefits from that. So if you have parents who are in the military and you don't know about this benefit, definitely reach out to them and find out how you can jump on that benefit, because low key, that benefit changes your life. and it saves you from lots of debt. I unfortunately didn't think of that when I first went to university, and that put me in debt, like probably like $9,000 in debt, and it was only like my first semester because the college was so expensive and kind of bougie. And so I was so naive. I was like, I want to enjoy that experience, that university experience. I don't really care about the benefit. I just want to go and enjoy it. But you have to be smart with your money. So wherever you can get that money from, take the opportunity, whether it's the military, whether it's applying. And writing these long essays, it's worth it. It's going to take a while. And like, you're not going to win every scholarship, but just keep applying. You got to be repetitive about it. And then eventually you will be able to find some sort of money to go towards your...
Yeah.